The politics is broken in this country. 70% of the American people now believe, and the data polling on this is consistent, that we're going in the wrong direction. When politics fails to resolve or even address our most serious issues, our biggest moral questions, what often happens is that social movements rise up to change politics, and the best social movements have spiritual foundations. So in this book, The Great Awakening, I did a lot of, for me, exciting research on great awakenings in our history, our American past, times when the revival of faith led to real changes in a society. And I learned the church historians make it clear that spiritual activity or renewal doesn't get to be counted as revival until it has changed something in the society. So we have all these first, second, third, fourth Great Awakenings, and they led to significant shifts, changes of direction in a society. And they led to the abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, child labor law reform, and of course, civil rights. Those social movements, progressive social movements, have never happened without the involvement, significant involvement of people of faith. Never have happened without the involvement of people of faith. Yet, religion has no monopoly on morality. And those movements are never just people of faith. It's always people of faith and goodwill, and those who, now there's a whole new movement I meet around the country, the spiritual but not religious. It's a new denomination. Have you heard about this one? It's growing rapidly. Ben Cohen, Ben and Jerry's Ice Cream, tells me that he's spiritual but not religious. I said, Ben, offer him free ice cream. You could be the bishop of this new denomination. He told me he's thinking about that. But I think there are two great hungers in our world today. The hunger for spirituality and the hunger for social justice. And the connection between the two is the one our world is waiting for, especially a new generation. That really is the focus of this book. I think there are dramatic changes occurring in the religious community that could impact this election, but even more important, beyond the election. 2008 will be a very different kind of election year than we saw in 2004. What has changed? In my last book, God's Politics, I said basically that when someone hijacks your faith, that's how it felt to a lot of us. When my wife's English, so I'm on the BBC sometimes, and BBC listeners are startled to hear an American Christian voice, particularly an evangelical, who doesn't think God is an American, or only a Republican, who only cares about abortion and gay marriage. And to hear a broader agenda is always a very refreshing thing for them. Well, the Great Awakening is not about the religious right at all. It's not about them at all. Because millions have taken back their faith. And now this book is about what are we going to do with our faith now that we've taken it back. It's not about somebody else or about our critique of them. It's what are we going to do with our own faith. And so we've seen the leveling of the playing field. We see, as EJ can speak to more than I, how all the three candidates are having high-powered faith outreach operations going. There are faith forums in New Hampshire and Iowa and gospel tours in South Carolina. But more important than that political change is how the agenda has changed. Rick Cizik of the National Association of Evangelicals was on a panel we had this last week in D.C. We had a number of evangelical voices. Lynn Hybels of Willow Creek in Chicago, Sam Rodriguez, the Hispanic evangelical leader, Rich Cizik, Cheryl Saunders from Church of God here in town, Joel Hunter from Florida. These are new evangelical voices, and Rich said the change is so dramatic, he called it a slow earthquake happening among evangelicals, where poverty, climate change, disease, war and peace, immigration, racial justice are all now on the agenda. The former agenda was too narrow, unbiblically narrow, I would say, too partisan, and much too top-down. A new generation has a new agenda. It is wider, It is deeper, it is less partisan, less focused on top-down, and more concerned about grassroots, bottom-up social change.